everyone, George Ramblin' Man here. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm cruising north on Arizona Highway 85 in southern Arizona. Little day trip today down to almost to the Mexico-United States border. I visited the Oregon Pipe Cactus National Monument Park and Visitor Center. It was interesting. Great day to ride. I've been on this Harley-Davidson Street Glide now for about 2.5 days. Got close to 1,000 miles on it. So I'm going to give you my general thoughts on it. These are just my opinions, nobody else's. You may agree, you may disagree. I don't own a Harley-Davidson, never owned a Harley-Davidson. Don't really have any brand loyalty one way or the other. But after doing some serious riding on this thing for 3 days, I've developed some opinions, and I thought I would just share them with you. I guess everybody probably knows this is the most popular Harley-Davidson touring bike out there. They sell more of these Street Glides than anything else. I think the Road Glide is probably a close second, but I can understand why. This is a comfortable bike, and I can understand why it's so popular. First of all, I'm on the Street Glide Standard. This is not the Street Glide Special. This is a 2019 model. And the 2020 model is essentially the same, I think. The price went up about $700. I think the base price for a Street Glide with black color, no options, is around $21 or $22. If you add ABS brakes, that's $800. And if you want this upgraded boombox entertainment and navigation system, the 6-inch variety, not the little small 4-inch, I think that's another $800 or $900. So you can put about $1,700, $1,800 worth of options on this and get pretty close to what the Special is, except for the one big thing is you get the Milwaukee 107 cubic inch motor in the Standard, and you get the 114 in the Special. Plus the Special's blacked out. This has more chrome on it. It's got the matte finish on the inside of the fairing. But other than that, not a lot of difference. I think the wheels are the same. Or the wheels are a little bit different on the Special. I think they're the Talon wheels. But the wheel size, the seat, transmission, everything else is all pretty much the same. And if you like the blacked out look and the 114, you know, you're going to probably pay $27,000, $28,000 for that. And if you get the Standard and add the ABS and upgraded GPS, you know, that's probably $4,000 or $5,000 less. So that's kind of where you are price-wise. Bike handles real well. It's got a low center of gravity. It's pretty good at low speeds. I think it's roughly 800 pounds. I'm not exactly sure, maybe 820. And if you start to lean it over in a slow speed maneuver too much and it starts to fall, you can tell the weight. But it's pretty maneuverable. I would say it's comparable to the Road King as far as the slow speed maneuvers. Again, I give the Heritage higher marks because it's lighter and more nimble. And I'm not really used to a bike with a fairing. The biggest difference that I've seen having a fairing, I mean, it does cut a lot of wind off your body, and it does protect your hands from the wind. You know, the regular tall windscreen on a Heritage or on my Suzuki Boulevard, it cuts plenty of the wind off of my body. I have no problem with that. But your hands are out in the wind stream, and when it's cold, they can get cold. And this, behind the fairing, it's much better. Now, this particular bike comes with a Standard low tinted windscreen, and it doesn't quite get the air over the top of my head. The air is bouncing off the kind of the top portion of my helmet, and I can kind of feel it buffeting my helmet around a little bit. I think if you're going to do any serious touring on a street glide with this, and you have this standard low windscreen, it would be well worth your money to upgrade to a taller windscreen and get a little quieter pocket of air around you. Okay, what do I like about it? Well, the fairing is nice. Once you get used to it, you've got all the gauges right out here in front of you. I enjoy having a real live fuel gauge that you can see the fuel. It's got a big 6-gallon fuel tank, and you can get a lot of range out of this bike, much more than my Suzuki Boulevard. Gauges are easy to read. The little LCD portion here has the trip odometers and remaining miles to your empty. It's got the gear indicator. Gear indicator is not real big, but you can see it. I'm in 6th gear right now, and it's fine. Then it's got a tachometer and a voltmeter, so the gauges are very clear, easy to read. I guess my favorite thing about this bike, though, is this new upgraded 6-inch boombox and infotainment system. I really give high marks to. The screen is much bigger. It's all touch screen. There are no buttons anymore. It's covered with this Gorilla Glass, which is like on a lot of smartphones, and supposedly is tougher. But it's very bright. I mean, you can see this screen in the bright sunshine like I'm in now. At night, it's really bright. Touch screen works great with gloves, and I give Harley high marks for it. The navigation seems to work fairly well. I've gotten kind of used to it. You know, you can get the miles to your destination, the time. There's all kind of things you can get on the options you can have display on the screen. Digital speedometer, clock, lots of different information. Very easy to type in destinations, and I've gotten used to it, and I really like it. I put a Garmin GPS on my Suzuki Boulevard, and it works good. The screen is not as readable as this one, that's for sure. This is very bright, a very nice screen, so I like that. The sound system, this is not the super upgraded sound system with all the extras on it. This is a standard sound system. I guess it comes with this boombox, but it's very loud. I mean, when it's calling out the directions from the GPS, you can hear it very clearly right through your full face helmet, no problem. Playing the radio when you're going 70 miles an hour is not the best. It's pretty good when you're at slow speeds. My thing is, if you want to listen to the radio, just run it through a headset. As far as Bluetooth, my iPhone paired up really quickly and easily with this system, and it'll play my music and phone calls and everything else right through this stereo system. I also have a Sena headset, and the Sena headset will not pair directly with the Harley. You have to buy a headset module and interface for that. That's extra money that Harley gets out of you for that, which I think is a kind of a rip-off, but it is what it is. So the stereo's pretty good, navigation's good. Seating position is a little bit different. I mean, my feet sit a little bit higher up than they normally do, and I guess I do feel a little bit cramped in this position. I mean, it's fairly comfortable. I think the seating position on the Heritage and the Road King and my Suzuki Boulevards, I would probably give a 9 or a 10, and this is probably a 7 or 8 as far as seating position goes. I will give high marks to the seat. This is a good seat that Harley has, the stock seat. I'd probably add a backrest to it, but the seat's pretty comfortable. If I did any really long distance touring, I might upgrade to the hammock touring seat or something of that nature that Harley puts out, or maybe even a Mustang seat. But the seat's very soft and padded, and a fair amount of lumbar support, and I have no complaints about the seat. The controls are pretty standard. You got your high beam, low beam on the left, your horn. You get a little joystick here that toggles through your screen, and your cruise control is on the left. Cruise control works fine. You just tap it to engage it and punch down on it to set your speed, and you can adjust your speed at 1 mile an hour by just tapping up or down on it. Works fine. And you know, when you're out on a long straight road like this, having the cruise control is a good option. Right side, you've got your kill switch and your ignition. You know, the blinkers are on either side. I've kind of gotten used to that. So pretty standard controls. This 2019 model does not have the proximity fob, at least this rental one that I doesn't. It has the little knob here you turn to start it, and you've got a little barrel key to lock that, and the same barrel key locks and unlocks the saddlebags. You know, I give Indian kudos for their automatic locking bags. I wish Harley would come out with that. You know, leaning down to get that barrel key in these saddlebags to lock them and unlock them is kind of a pain. And you know, if you walk away from this bike without it locked down, you know, somebody can just turn it on and take off. See, you got a little compartment right here that you can see. I've got my little park pass from yesterday stuffed in there. They've got a little USB charging port. The one deficiency about this is it's pretty small, and I have the newest iPhone, which is pretty big, and my iPhone will not fit in that little storage area. If you have a smaller, older type phone, you can store it in there and keep it charged. And there are no charging ports in the saddlebags, so that's not an option. But they need to fix that on the newer editions. Okay, let me say a little bit about the engine and transmission. It's got a six-speed gearbox. 6th gear is definitely an overdrive gear for 70 miles an hour or more on the interstate. Anything below that, really, probably 5th gear is fine. You know, but the gears, transmission shifts fairly easily. You got that nice clunk when it goes into the various gears. This model just has the toe shifter. It doesn't have the heel toe. I don't know if that's an option or not. But you know, the transmission is just smooth. The engine is smooth. The Milwaukee 8107 cubic inch on the standard here is plenty of power. I passed somebody the other day going to 229 Palms, a truck out on a lonely highway, and actually it was an RV, and I passed him, and I was going 95 miles an hour before I knew it. So it's got plenty of power. If you get the special, you get the 114. You get even more torque, more horsepower, more power if you want it. But the 107 is a great motor. It's only been out a couple of years. I know it's had a few little small issues, but you know, I've never had any issues on any bikes that I've rented with it. It's just a very smooth, well-performing engine. You know, suspension-wise, you know, they say the Road King has actually got a little better suspension. This was slammed down a little lower, and you know, to get it lower, they don't quite have the, you know, travel and the shocks that Road King has. And you know, you go over a rough road, it's just a little jarring. I mean, it was that way on the Indian Springfield with me a couple of years ago in New England, and on this Street Glide. But you know, overall the ride quality I think is good. Again, the handling is good. You know, I had no complaints there at all. Before I sign off, I'm gonna stop up here and get some gas, and I'll do a quick little walk around the bike to show it to you. I know you've probably seen hundreds of them out on the road, and you can go online and look at it, but it's you know, it's just a classic bike with batwing fairing and classic Harley styling. So here's a quick little walk around. Just gassed up the Street Glide, and I thought this would be a good time just to do a quick walk around, give you a quick view of the bike that I've had for a couple of days. 2019 Harley-Davidson Street Glide. standard. This is not the Street Glide Special. You can tell that by all the chrome on it. It's not blacked out. As I walk around to the other side, you can also see that it's got the 107 Milwaukee 8, not the 114. But those are really only substantial differences between the Special and the standard. This has the hard bags. They're stretched out. Again, this is a standard model, but it does come with the two options that you can get: the ABS brakes and the upgraded boombox entertainment system and navigation system. And it's got the bigger 6-inch screen, and it's just I'm really impressed with it. It's really nice. Just kind of turn it on here and show it to you. It boots up fairly quickly, and it's all touchscreen, compatible. There are no buttons, and there's only 3 choices: your music, your radio, navigation, or phone. And you've got your various settings. But you go to navigation. That's
the route is being calculated.
So you can tell the speakers are really, really good. You can control the sound right here, and I probably should turn it down. But like I said, it boots up very quickly. The screen is nice and bright, as you can see. It is very impressive. I'm very happy with the GPS. You've got 2 little spots here that you can have different options of what goes in these spaces: arrival time, distance, digital speedometer. You can put a clock, arrival, all kinds of things. So it's very good. Then it's got the standard gauges on the back of the fairing: fuel gauge, speedometer, tachometer, voltmeter. A little smaller LCD area where it has the 2 trip meters, remaining miles, a gear indicator, but it's big enough to read. It's not something that's as good as the big displays on the new Heritage, but it's not bad. Handlebar controls are pretty much standard Harley. Cruise control, blinker, high beam, low beam horn over here. The start stop button, kill switch. It does have this little compartment here, and I'm going to reach in and get my phone, because this is one thing that Harley could do better. It's got the little USB port in there where you can charge it, charge a phone. But this is the bigger iPhone you see here, and the newer model, and you can see it won't go in. It's just not the compartment's not big enough. So they need to fix that. Again, it's got the Batwing fairing, pretty good wind protection. I'm not really used to having bikes with fairings, but kind of enjoyed it this week. But that's it, the Harley-Davidson Street Glide. Bike's kind of dirty because I've rode it pretty hard. I got about 800, 900 miles on it I've put on in a couple of days, so it's been pretty good. All right, well, let me get back on the bike and get back to the hotel in Tempe tonight before it gets dark. I don't really like riding in the dark, and it starts to get pretty cool, so I'm gonna hit the road. All right, guys, this is George Rambleman. Hope everybody has a great week. As I rambled north on Arizona Highway 85 in the Sonoran Desert in southern Arizona, about 20 miles from Gila Bend, and then back into Tempe tonight. So long, everybody.